US President Joe Biden has warned his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, that there will be repercussions if chemical weapons are used in Ukraine. It came as the Australian government has placed sanctions on another 22 Russians, as well as the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for NATO member states to contribute 1% of their tanks and warplanes to Ukraine to use against Russia. Major General Mick Ryan is a military strategist and analyst and joins me now. General Ryan, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Dan.
Firstly, I just want to go to this news to hand that the Russian military appears to be indicating that their strategy has worked and that they're now looking at the next stage. What do you make of that?
Well, g'day, Dan. It's great to talk to you. If I was the Russians, that's probably what I'd be saying, given the debacle that their invasion of Ukraine has become. Putin and his generals have been looking for some kind of victory that they could betray to their own people and the rest of the world for several weeks now. This briefing by Colonel General Rodskoy really allows us some insights into how the Russians now think about the way forward. And what they appear to be saying to us is they're going to reinforce their campaign in the east, out of the Donbass region, and probably seek some kind of advance all the way through to the Dnieper River to take large parts of Ukrainian territory and, if they can, destroy large parts of the Ukrainian military in that area.
Now, that area to the east is certainly turning out to be one of the flashpoints, and that comes after reporting that Ukrainian troops have recaptured towns to the east of Kyiv. So what do you read into that news?
I think the campaign in the north has really bogged down for the Russians. They've been quite unsuccessful in their attempts to penetrate into Kyiv, except for in small forces early in the war. Indeed, the Ukrainians have undertaken some minor counterattacks to the west and the east of Kyiv. So it's very unlikely the Russians are going to be able to take Kyiv. They have to look elsewhere for success, and therefore it's in the east that they're most likely to do that.
General Ryan, there seems to be a number of strategies at play here. On the ground, there is the military confrontation, but then there's also the battle of publicity, and we've seen President Zelensky really capitalising that on his speeches that have been happening to parliaments and groups around the world. One of the latest ones of those was to NATO in just the last couple of days, where he's been calling for that 1% of military equipment and, well, also, not so much in this speech, but the ongoing call for a no-fly zone over Ukraine.
Well, President Zelensky is leading a nation at war that is not just fighting for its land, it's fighting for its very existence. And therefore, we should expect that a president in his position would be crying out for more support. I would, and so would any reasonable person. So I think NATO has a bit of thinking to do beyond Javelin missiles and air-to-air defences, or air defences from the ground, when it talks about military support for the Ukrainians. Clearly, President Zelensky wants more, and whilst that might not include a no-fly zone or boots on the ground, he needs more equipment to push the Russians out of his country.
I want to go to a piece that you've written, General Ryan, that came out just before this latest news and commentary from Russia, and you wrote that Russia's approach is a military debacle. I wonder if you can explain that.
Well, there's several dimensions to this. Firstly, their strategy was based on three bad assumptions: that Ukraine wasn't a country, that it would roll over quickly, and the West would not intervene. All three have been proven wrong, and from there, every military failure has stemmed. They put in the wrong forces at the wrong places. They didn't logistically support them. They've tried to fight three different wars in the north, the east and the south without an overall coordinating mechanism or theatre commander. They didn't achieve air superiority and still haven't, and they just have not really even turned up in the information war. So this will be a military catastrophe for the Russians. They're proving they are no longer a superpower, and it'll be studied by military organisations and analysts for years to come.
And just finally, what do you expect in the days ahead, in particularly from Ukraine?
I think we'll see Ukraine continue to bring in aid from the West. It will continue to resist in places like Mariupol, which is a political, not a military target for both sides now. And I think we'll probably see them reorient their forces in those parts of the country where the Russians are no longer on the offensive. So they might be able to challenge the Russians better where they do want to go on the offensive, which is in the east.
Major General Mick Ryan, military strategist and analyst. Thanks for your insights this morning.
Thanks, Dan.